The heart is the most reliable and hard-working organ of our body. It works without interruptions, day after day, year after year, without asking permission to rest, and without going on strike. But even the most resilient system gets tired, if you live to the point of exhaustion for years. As we age, we notice more often how the pressure rises, then it falls, how the stairs to the second or third floor become more difficult, how the pulse sometimes deviates from its usual pace, and in the silence of the night an alarming thought creeps into my head. Am I okay? Modern medicine offers a whole arsenal of pills and procedures, can relieve stress on the heart, adjust blood pressure and rhythm, lower cholesterol levels, but rarely explains in simple words why exactly does the heart start to stumble, and why pills, helping here and now, they don't always change the very basis of what's happening. More often than not, the problem is not the weakness of the heart itself. And in that, how we lived for many years, how did they eat, how much did you move, how did you sleep, how they dealt with stress and how they treated their own bodies, which every day ask for the most basic thing: water, normal sleep, movement and not too heavy food. This story is not about a miracle. Prescriptions are not about refusing doctors. He's talking about that. How to naturally support your heart, how to help blood vessels remain flexible, and the body will feel more energetic and calmer. We'll look at the recipe, which went down in history thanks to Nikolai Mikhailovich Amosov, one of the founders of Soviet cardiac surgery. Amosov not only operated on hearts, he carefully observed people and himself. I was looking for simple solutions, which can be followed for years. His approach was extremely direct. Medicine is needed when it is needed, but health is born from everyday life, from movement, moderation, air, sleep, and that very food for the heart, which is easy to prepare in your own kitchen. Where do heart problems come from? If there are so many medicines and gadgets today. Cardiovascular diseases remain the main cause of deterioration in health after 60, but it's not always one breakdown, which can be repaired with one piece. More often than not, this is the result of long-term wear and tear on the system. Over the years, blood vessels lose elasticity. Their inner lining, the endothelium, becomes more vulnerable to inflammation and oxidative stress. The walls thicken, and the blood seems to thicken with a lack of water and a predominance of heavy foods. The heart has to push this medium through a huge network of vessels, and it copes, but does so at the cost of additional workload. Add to this a sedentary lifestyle, the habit of intercepting something, what to do on the go instead of a normal meal, chronic lack of sleep, excess salt in the translated from Russian to English, www.onlinedoctrinslator.com, diet, rare walks, and the picture of age takes shape by itself, although in truth it is not age as fate, and the sum of habits and circumstances which can be reassembled. The pills help here and now. They lower blood pressure, stabilize the rhythm, reduce the level of bad lipids, but they do not restore flexibility to the vessels, if in the diet there are still not enough vegetables, potassium and magnesium, if by still not enough water and movement, if the nervous system does not get rest. This does not mean that medications are not needed. On the contrary, they are often vital, especially after a heart attack, stroke, in severe hypertension, serious arrhythmias. But it is important to see the boundaries. The pills relieve some of the burden and risks, and the foundation is created by our daily steps. That is why Amosov repeated so persistently, the heart needs not only to be treated, but also to train and feed correctly. And when he offered his pasta, he wasn't advertising a miracle. means he showed how to cover shortages with simple products, which are typical for an elderly person, especially if your appetite isn't what it used to be, and strict diets and culinary feats are a thing of the past. Who is Amosov and why do people believe him? This is a surgeon with thousands of operations. Human who saw the heart from the inside, understood how it ages and how it reacts to stress. At the same time, Amosov remained a realist. He did not contrast medicine with folk remedies. He spoke about a reasonable balance. In his diaries and books, he returned to the same pillars: movement every day, moderation in food and weight, calm, sleep mode and idle, natural food. My own dried fruit mix. Nuts he invented, lemon and honey primarily for himself. When he worked around the clock, he needed that what feeds the myocardium supports blood vessels. It doesn't overload the digestion and is easy to prepare in advance. This is how the recipe went to the people, because it turned out to be understandable and almost always tasty, and most importantly, he supported it. What is often missing? Potassium and magnesium for rhythm and vascular tone, antioxidants for endothelial protection, some quality, fats which make the walls of blood vessels more alive, and natural smooth energy without sugar spikes. Why don't pills solve the root cause? Because they interfere with individual links in the processes. Blood pressure medications dilate blood vessels or reduce overall vascular tone, causing blood pressure to drop. But the elasticity of the wall as a tissue property does not increase if in the diet and lifestyle there are still not enough conditions for recovery. Statins reduce the level of atherogenic lipids, but the metabolism of fats and sugars as a whole is about a plate and movement every day. Antiplatelet agents reduce the stickiness of platelets, but if a person is chronically dehydrated, if his day is coffee and snacks, if he sleeps for 5 hours and doesn't walk, then the blood remains not the same, and the vessels are irritated. Pills are a bridge across a stormy river. When should I switch now? But the road further on is still on your side of the shore. According to the regime on nutrition, step by step, in a dream. This is where food for the heart comes into play. Amosov's paste. This is not exotic, and regular products, which together cover several tasks at once. Dried fruits are a concentrate of minerals and antioxidants in a convenient form. Nuts are high-quality fats and protein. Lemon is a vetum. In canned flavonoids, the peel is a valuable part. Honey, and preservative, and transport, and pleasant taste, which helps you remember to take it. It is important to understand the mechanics of benefit and not believe in miracles. Potassium is the main electrolyte for the myocardium. It is responsible for the conduction of electrical impulses and rhythm stability. When there is little potassium in the diet, the heart becomes more nervous, the pressure is consistently higher. Magnesium is a mineral that calms blood vessels. It helps them relax and let go of the spasm. Antioxidants from dried fruits and lemon reduce oxidative damage to the lining of blood vessels. That same smoothness of the pipe is preserved better. Nutty omegas 3 and monounsaturated fats support membrane plasticity and have a mild effect on low-intensity inflammation, with which aging occurs, and atherosclerosis are two close friends. Natural sugars from dried fruits are not the quick sugar of desserts, and smoother energy, especially if you eat the paste by the spoonful before meals and don't drink anything. This way it's absorbed more evenly and doesn't cause glucose spikes. Let's take a closer look at the components, but in a calm tone without slogans. Dried apricots are the champion of potassium. It is he who helps the heart beat evenly, and allow muscles to work without cramping. There's also fiber and beta-carotene, which protects blood vessels and skin. Raisins bring more than just a pleasant sweetness. It contains boron and trace elements that affect calcium metabolism, and this is important, so that calcium goes into the bones and not into the walls of blood vessels. Prunes are known as a friend of the intestines, but for the heart its value is through the liver. When the liver works easily, lipid metabolism proceeds more accurately, there are fewer bad factions. Figs contain phycin and other substances which have a gentle effect on blood viscosity and microcirculation, plus its fiber and potassium. Walnut is an omega-3 and vitamin E, and also arginine, a precursor of nitric oxide molecules which helps blood vessels expand and be flexible. Lemon is not only sour, but also a vitamin C with peel flavonoids which protect the endothelium. That's why it's so important to add lemon with the peel. Having washed it thoroughly with a brush. Honey plays several roles, unites the masses, improves taste, helps to preserve the paste for a month, and being hygroscopic, retains moisture. The texture remains pleasant and the benefits are affordable. How to cook properly and why a meat grinder is needed here and not a blender. Technical details are important. Dried fruits are often processed for storage, so be sure to soak them in hot water for 10 to 15 minutes to wash away dust and possible processing residues. Then dry it. This way the paste won't turn out watery. The meat grinder works slowly, does not overheat the mass, does not saturate it with excess air. As a result, the texture is dense, alive, and the taste is rich, without any extraneous bitterness. Blender, especially powerful, often overheats the mixture, grinds nuts into a paste, and dried fruits until a sticky emulsion. Some of the useful compounds are oxidized faster, and such mass is stored worse. That's why the old, down-to-earth method is often better than the latest technology. The proportions are simple: 200 grams of dried apricots, raisins, prunes, and figs, 200 grams of walnuts, 1 medium lemon with peel, about 200 grams of good honey, grind dried fruits and nuts, along with lemon, add honey, mix thoroughly with a spoon until smooth, transfer into a clean, dry glass jar. Close the lid tightly and put it in the refrigerator. The shelf life is about a month, if the jar is clean and the spoon is dry. If you plan to cook for two, it's better to make 2 smaller batches spaced apart. This way the taste will be more even, and the freshness is higher. How to take so that it would be safe and noticeably. Pasta is food and not a medicine. Therefore, the exact time does not play a big role, but experience shows. 1 tablespoon 30 minutes before meals 3 times a day is the optimal regimen. This way the pasta doesn't compete with the main food, provides the body with a substrate of minerals and soft energy, and in the mouth, where there are many vessels, some of the components begin to be absorbed immediately, so it is useful not to swallow the paste immediately and dissolve like a thick dessert. It is important not to drink or eat anything immediately afterward. Let the mixture work. After 2 to 3 weeks, most people report less fatigue when walking. Stairs are easier, the pulse becomes calmer, sleep is deeper, and the mood is more even. This is not a miracle or a healing boom. It's the sum of small changes which add up when you create conditions for your heart to live easier day after day. After a month, blood pressure readings usually stabilize, not for everyone and not precisely to the norm, but the jumps are becoming less frequent and the morning values are more predictable. If there are no changes at all within a month and you still maintain excess, wait, smoke and sleep for 5 hours The honest answer is simple. First, the base is water, steps, dream, plate. Then fine-tuning. Why does this work in general, and not by one button? Because the body is a network and not a lever. Potassium helps the heart conduct impulses, magnesium relaxes blood vessels, and the nervous system, antioxidants, maintain the smoothness of the inner lining of blood vessels. High-quality fats make cell membranes vibrant and flexible. Together, this is not a super effect, and synergy is when 10 moderate influences combine to provide noticeable relief. But synergy loves regularity. It needs weeks and months, and not a one-time effort. And here it is important to distinguish between support and treatment. Amosov's paste does not treat heart attacks and does not replace arrhythmia therapy, but it helps your body cope better with stress if you do the rest of the work. Move, drink water, keep your blood pressure under control, get checked by a doctor, and don't ignore the signs. Safety over benefit. There are situations when even healthy food requires caution. If you have diabetes and you count carbohydrates, remember dried fruits and honey are a source of sugars. This is not a reason to refuse, but it's a good idea to discuss the portion size and regimen with your doctor or nutritionist. To whom then a teaspoon twice a day will do, to whom that is a tablespoon once, to whom then it's better to eat pasta not on an empty stomach, and 15 to 20 minutes before meals, to smooth out the glycemic load. If you are taking anticoagulants or antiplatelet drugs, the paste itself is not a medicine, but nuts and citrus fruits can increase gastrointestinal sensitivity in some people. Listen to yourself and tell your doctor about your new habit so that there are no surprises. If you have chronic kidney disease and strict potassium control, the serving of paste should be small. Dried fruits are high in potassium. If you are prone to heartburn and reflux, it is better not to eat pasta late in the evening. And you can pour boiling water over the lemon before cooking. Remove some of the bright zest. This will make the acid softer. If you have a nut allergy, you cannot replace walnuts with other nuts. You need to consult with a specialist. Sometimes pumpkin or sunflower seeds are used, but carefully in small portions, and only if there is no reaction. For children and pregnant women, any rituals with dried fruits and citrus are introduced after consultation with a doctor, and certainly, if a rash appears, itching, bloating, pain, unusual reaction, stop and discuss the situation with a specialist. There are also everyday details on which the impression greatly depends. The quality of dried fruits is half the success. It's better to choose soft ones, but not sticky. No pungent chemical smell, wash thoroughly. You can even change the water twice. Wash the lemon with a brush and baking soda. Rinse with boiling water. It is better to dry the nuts before scrolling in a dry frying pan for a couple of minutes on minimum heat. Do not fry them, namely to dry, to remove excess moisture and make the taste cleaner. Honey is natural from a trusted seller. If it crystallizes, that's normal. When stirred, it will still enter the mixture. Wash and dry the jar and lid before adding the paste. Wet jar, short shelf life. The spoon for typing is dry and clean. Avoid introducing excess moisture and bacteria. The paste can be divided into 2 jars. Keep one in the main area of the refrigerator, the second one in the coldest place. So the active jar will open more often, and the backup one will remain durable. How to integrate this into life so as not to give up after a week. Small rituals help. Place the jar in that place in the refrigerator. Where do you look every morning? Next to it is a small dessert spoon. Make a deal with yourself. First a glass of warm, Water, then a spoonful of paste. Pause, then breakfast. Remove the hustle and bustle from your morning window. 5 minutes of silence, and it's already easier to hear yourself. Add simple steps, 20 to 30 minutes of walking any day when it's not pouring rain. If the weather is bad, walk up and down the stairs, but without fanaticism, focusing on your breathing. On your plate, make sure every meal includes vegetables and protein. This will help balance out your sugar levels. And hunger recedes and the paste works against a more favorable background. Salt. Be careful. Excess salt retains water, increases blood pressure. This is contrary to our goal. Water is your free blood detoxifier. Focus on the light straw-colored urine is a working clue to adequate hydration. If you want a program, let it be soft. The first 3 to 5 days, 1 spoon twice a day, half an hour before meals, to understand tolerance, then transition to the standard, 3 times a day. After 2 weeks, pay attention to your sleep. On how you feel in the morning for breathing when climbing stairs. After 4 weeks, compare your first entries with today's. If it gets easier, great. Means the body got it. Take a break for 2 to 3 weeks, then return to the habit, but already at a meaningful pace, not from under the sticks, but with understanding. Why do you need this? If there are no changes, don't be disappointed. Sometimes there are fewer basic deficits, and the main breaks are in another. In weight, in smoking, in a dream. Ask your doctor to help you prioritize. One adjustment can mean more than a dozen useful little things. We will answer questions in advance, which often come up. Can honey be replaced with anything? Something else if sugar is strictly limited? You can reduce the amount or use stevia, erythritol. But remember that honey is not just here for sweetness. It gives texture and preserves. If there is a minimum of honey, store your pasta even more carefully and cook in smaller batches. Is it possible to grind twice so that everything would be completely smooth? Can, but there is little sense. Paste is not. Cream. Dessert. She must preserve the body so as not to turn into sticky syrup. Can walnuts be substituted with almonds or cashews? If I don't like the taste. Can, if there is no allergy, but the fat profile will be different and omega-3 less. Walnuts are a good compromise for the heart. Can I add spices? It's better not to use it for your stomach and blood vessels. Cinnamon, ginger, and other spices are good, but they are out of place here. The recipe has a different purpose. Can you eat pasta as a dessert after a meal? Can, but part of the meaning is lost. Before eating, the paste works softer and more accurately. How many calories? Pasta is a nutritious product. A small spoon is a little, but if you forget, you can gain too much. Therefore, the focus is on the spoon, and not as much as your heart desires. And one more honest moment. Any usefulness works against the background of self-respect. If you live in constant time pressure and try to drown out your fatigue with sugar and coffee, no prescription will cover up sleep deficit. If you haven't left your couch for years, no spoon can replace movement. If there is a lot of stress in your life, anger and news for the night, the heart will be in good shape, even if the pasta is perfect. Amosov wrote about this. 4 pillars: movement, moderation in food, tranquility, and natural food. Pasta, about natural food. The rest of the supports are also your concern. The final is the most important thing. Amosov's paste is not a pill or the holy grail. This is a simple way to put a straw under your heart and blood vessels every day. It maintains rhythm thanks to potassium and magnesium, protects the inner lining of blood vessels thanks to the antioxidants of lemon and dried fruits, provides high-quality fats from nuts, makes the diet warmer and kinder. She helps when you help yourself with the rest. Drink water, you're walking, don't add too much salt, don't smoke, get treatment. When is it necessary to undergo treatment? If you have chronic diseases, do not change your therapy on your own. Do not replace prescribed medications with natural ones, and be sure to tell your doctor about any new habits. If you have already tried the paste, please tell us. How exactly did you prepare it? How you fit it into your day, which was noticed after 2 to 3 weeks. Stories like these help others not to be afraid of simple steps and choose gentle ones. Safe practices instead of extremes. And please support our channel. Your subscription and likes are not about numbers. This is a signal that calm, honest, and homemade videos are really useful. Take care of yourself and your heart. It has been protecting you for many years. Reciprocate.